Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really powerful story about finding the motivation to keep going when, everything is telling you to just stop. And we're going to do that by looking at this incredible speech from a community leader, Coach Sheila Cancino.
So this single idea, it's pretty much the foundation for everything we're about to get into. It's about this huge shift in how you see things, right? It's not just about, surviving challenges. It's about actively embracing them and seeing them as a chance to do something amazing. All right, so to set the stage, Sheila starts by pointing out something that's just so true. Success, it's never a solo act. She gives a huge shout out to her team, making it super clear that it was their combined effort that really turned these tough spots into wins. But okay, what were these trials really? Because we're not talking about minor bumps in the road. No way. Sheila was basically hit with one major setback after another. The kind of stuff that would make just about anyone think, you know what, I'm done.
I mean, just look at this chain of events. First, a key project gets left totally hanging after a leadership change. Then, just as she's trying to take a step back, she gets pulled right back in and becomes the instant chairman. And then, for the grand finale, a typhoon. Typhoon Waipa completely wrecks the original date for a huge event they'd planned. These aren't small hurdles. We're talking major, back-to-back obstacles involving people, leadership, and even Mother Nature.
So when you're facing all that pressure, you can imagine the toll it takes. Sheila is super open about it. She flat out says it's not always happy days. She admits that there were moments where she was just so tired, so full of doubt, that the absolute easiest thing to do would have been to just quit.
And here's what's so relatable. Look at the options she was considering. Cancel the event, poof, problem gone. Stop going to those Sunday meetings. Give up when there's conflict between the officers, or just say stop. These are the simple, super tempting solutions that pop into our heads when things get really, really tough.
And all of this, all that pressure and temptation, it brings us to this really crucial moment of crisis. That feeling of being completely overwhelmed, it boils down to a single, powerful question. And I'm pretty sure it's a question we've all asked ourselves at some point.
Why should I even care? There it is. In that moment of pure exhaustion, that's the fundamental question she was up against. It's the ultimate test of motivation, isn't it? When things are this hard, why even bother? But for a question that big, there has to be an answer, right? And finding that answer, well, that's the whole ballgame. That's what gives you the reason to keep going. Let's dig into how she found hers.
So, the answer? It's her why, her big why. This is the pivot point. The reason to keep going wasn't in some project plan or a to-do list. Nope. It came from something way deeper, way more personal. So where did this big why come from? Well, it's rooted in almost 2 decades of her own personal experience as an overseas Filipino worker. We're talking 20 years. This isn't some abstract concept. It's a motivation that was literally forged in the fire of real life.
And what was that experience like? Well, it was about being alone, about being far away from home. And that feeling of isolation, that homesickness, it led her to make this really powerful promise to herself.
She promised herself that she would do her part, even if it was just a small part, and that part was to build a community. So you see what's happening here? The crucial thing to understand is that her motivation was never really about chess or events. It was about preventing other people from feeling that same deep loneliness she had felt.
Okay, so this reframes the entire purpose of her work, right? It totally defines the real mission of her group, and it goes way beyond just the surface-level activities.
And this illustrates it perfectly. On the one hand, you have the tools, storytelling, and chess. But those are just the vehicles, The real goal, the greater purpose, is to build a community.
And she has a great definition for what that community is. It's not about what they do, it's about how it makes its members feel. It's a place where you can get recharged after a long week of hard work, a place where that homesickness starts to fade, and maybe most importantly, a place where you support one another. That's the real end goal.
And this brings us right back to the beginning, full circle. It's easier to quit when we encounter challenges, but I encourage you to embrace challenges. See, your why gives you the strength to choose that harder path because you know it actually leads somewhere meaningful.
So, the takeaway for all of us here is to try and look past the immediate problems, the typhoon, the canceled meeting, the exhaustion, and really connect with our own big why. What's the purpose that's fueling you? Because that's the thing that's going to transform your trials into triumphs.
What's the why that will make all the difference for you?